Hey everyone, happy Sunday.
Hey, and welcome to the show.
Yep, this is going to be our regular Sunday night thing. Sunday night chat with us, talking about real stuff, relationship stuff, life stuff, whatever comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, I did a quick video. Oh no, I'm sorry, Saturday. Yeah, that was yesterday. I did a quick video. Hey Eva, thanks for joining.
Eva.
We did a quick video on negativity, and that really resonated with people.
Hey Mary.
So we're going to kind of follow up on this a little bit, because clearly negativity is something that we can all relate to, because like I mentioned in that video yesterday, it's a fact of life, right? We can't have positivity without having negativity, going into that whole duality thing. You have to have one to have the other. Light can't exist without darkness. Mm-hmm. You know, one opposite can't exist without the other. Same thing with positive and negative. We can't be positive all the time. The trick is learning what to do with the negativity and how to master your own negativity so that it's not running the show and it's not ruling your life. And a big part of our negative thinking arises from these filters that get put in place from very, very early on. You know, we start building these perceptions and these filters, and then everything has to come through these filters. Our thoughts come through the filters, other people's words come through the filters, their actions come through the filters. And when we have this picture of what we think, you know, the world is doing, or what we think someone else is saying to us, and we can't see through the filters, it can end up being a very, you know, negative upon negative building block of thoughts in the head. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It only takes one event, and it's either a positive or a negative event as construed by our mind, and then we start looking for verification of that within ourselves, within the world around mm-hmm. us. Mm-hmm. So if something happens to us that we deem is negative, we then
Angelica.
We then start looking for verification that this is the way things are. Mm-hmm. And we find it. If mm-hmm. you look for something, you're going to find it. Always.
We always find what we're looking for.
Always, 100%.
And a relationship is one of the biggest places to see this. And it's one of the best working mirrors that we have in our lives, right? Because if he says something to me and I'm not clear that day, and I'm not grounded, and I'm not, you know, centered here, and I'm, you know, stuck in my head, or maybe my negative thinking has a little bit of sway that day, and he says something to me completely innocent, what I hear and what he says can be two entirely different things. And this is such a massive thing in our relationships. And what is our life but a relationship with everything? You know, our life is a relationship with our partners, our friends, our family, our workmates, everybody that we come across, that's a relationship. Just society in general, that's a relationship. And if we can't ever hear what is actually being said or see what is actually occurring, and all we're hearing and seeing is everything through this negative filter that we have established over the years, it's a very skewed way to live. Mm-hmm. And like Chris was just saying, you'll find the things to validate that thought. Uh-huh. Like if he says something to me and I want to take it personally and make it all about me and say, oh, well, you said this thing, and oh, that means you're criticizing me. Oh God. And then here's my narrative, right? It'll be like, oh, he thinks I suck and I'm not good enough. And my whole inadequacy narrative tries to come back up out of the depths. You know, it wants to rear its head every once in a while. I can then, awesome, give Dylan a kiss, Shannon, bye, and hi Damien, thanks for joining. I can then take that thought and I will find 10 things over the course of the day. It doesn't matter how many times he tells me he loves me. It doesn't matter how many nice things he does for me that day. I will find every time he didn't look at me the way the way I thought I should be looked at, or the every little thing that backs up that narrative of I'm not good enough. I'll find it and I'll focus on it, right?
Bam. Your narrative is more powerful than anything mm-hmm. anyone else can do.
More powerful than reality.
More powerful than reality.
What is reality, though, but an illusion,
exactly.
right?
That's a different story. Different conversation right there.
It's a whole nother video.
But that's spot on. So if I'm looking through my own filters, nothing that Lindsay says to me is going to have any impact because I believe my own filters ahead of what's happening around me.
It's like, if we can talk about this, we'll be frank and open here,
Yeah,
because
of course.
this is
That's
what
what
we're
this
all
is
about,
about.
right? That's what our new blog is all about. Hug Your Chaos is
Hug
all
your
about
chaos.
being frank and open with the darkness and the light. So
I'm Frank, she's open.
one of our biggest issues in our relationship has been jealousy. And Chris would feel, he would have moments of insecurity or jealousy, because of some of his issues that he'd had to work through. And what would happen would be where he would see something, and I could be over there completely innocently having a conversation with a friend who was a male, and it would come up as an issue. And here's me, and the times when I would feel blindsided by it, because I know that my motivation is pure. There's no motivation. I love my husband, and that's that. But it would create this issue with us because I would get defensive then. And not because I'm hiding anything, but because I feel like I'm under attack, and I feel like I'm being open and vulnerable, and he's not seeing I am throwing open and vulnerable love at him, and he's not seeing that. Because of his filters. So then my filters will turn around and be like, well, he don't want to see the love that I'm giving him, and I'm going to get all ratchet, I'm going to get hood, I'm going to be like, well, fuck that, and I don't need to, then I'm not going to show him. And then I want to shut down.
Which further validates my belief that, this is the scenario. That
And I'm hiding
created.
something.
Exactly.
So do you guys see how that can all just like spiral out of control all over and like just build on each other? It's insanity. Hey, Andrea, Annie, hi, thanks for joining. It's madness, and we get so stuck in our own cycle and our own negativity and our own thought process and our own filters that it takes a lot of practice to now when I start to engage, and the blood pressure rises and I feel it, and it's really uncomfortable now because I don't operate like that on a daily basis anymore. So when it happens, I'm like, oh, okay, let me take a breath, and let me pause, and let me look at what's triggering something in me, and let me stop to consider my partner. Because that's like a massive part of relationships that we so often forget to do. We don't consider the other person's issues or baggage or reactions.
Right.
And what is a relationship but embracing all of that? Two imperfect people finding, a perfect happiness together. Right?
Exactly. And you know what? One of the most powerful things you can do when that starts arising within you, from my own perspective, the jealousy, when that's something that starts coming up in me, I see Linds over talking to somebody. Thanks for the hearts. Keep pressing them right down here.
Hearts, yes. If you guys love us, press hearts.
Send us some love. So when I feel that arising within myself, instead of looking to Lindsay to change a pattern that she's not even displaying, because it's my filter, it's up to me to address that within myself. Is this reality? I'm looking through filters that are years and years old. Things
Got
that
nothing to do with me.
nothing to do with her.
And we do that. We do that to our partners.
And so it's not just about romantic relationships either. If you're in the workplace, somebody's talking to you and they say something that's completely harmless, and you've heard it through one of your filters, you've heard something incredibly negative, and you get really defensive, and then you're like, this person hates me and I don't want to be here. And
then you make your life miserable at work.
It creates misery all around. So one of the things that I wanted to introduce tonight one of the things I wanted to introduce as a technique is when somebody is talking to you.
Active listening. This is called active listening.
Active listening. The best way to do that. One, ground yourself in the moment. Do that with the breath like we always say. It's nothing new. Breathe. Once you're in the moment, imagine that the person that's talking to you is a mirror of yourself. If you're hearing yourself, you are going to listen. If you're hearing somebody else talking to you, there's a really good chance that you're going to shut down because you don't trust what they're saying, but you're going to listen to what you're saying to yourself.
It's a really... Sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to jump in. It's a really powerful place to practice mindfulness. It's to start bringing mindfulness to your own, where you're at when someone is talking to you is like mind blowing. Mm-hmm. The first time I started noticing with myself when I would practice listening, and it's funny because I read a Thich Nhat Hanh book on listening, and I was like, wow. And I would sit and I would listen to people, and I would realize how often my mind was just thinking about, well, what I wanted to say next. And then I was like, well, I can't listen and think about what I want to say at the same time.
Can't happen.
So I started halting that, and I started like really just eye contact with people when I would talk to them, and I would listen and I would take in the words that they were saying. And this practice is something that will strengthen you, because what it will allow to happen is that you will start being able to listen to yourself more clearly as well. Mm-hmm. And you will be able to listen to what's occurring inside of you. And when you can really listen to what, your heart is telling you, you can then start to address those things and make the necessary changes in your life.
Right.
You can use anything to work for you. You can use all of your darkness to work for you. Mm-hmm. All of the things that you look at right now and you think, oh, like this character flaw or this, way that I act, all of those, if you have those, the opposite exists. Mm-hmm. Just like I said in the beginning. If you have the negative, the positive exists in you as well.
And
Corgi agrees.
Corgi agrees. It comes back to the Hermetic principles that I'm a student of very passionately about, and the principle of polarity. It states, according to the universal principles, that if something exists, the opposite of that something also exists.
It has to.
And they can't both exist at the same time. But if you have negativity inside yourself, you're already positive. Mm-hmm. You just need to shift the vibration of where you're at. That's the only thing that separates them, is the degree of vibration between them.
Oh, thanks, guys. Hi, Daniel. Thanks. And thanks, Angelica. I'm so glad you guys are loving these.
Yeah, because we really enjoy doing them too.
Yeah, and we've just been getting a lot of positive feedback and we really just, it's our gift to the world. We just want to open communication. And someone contacted me today about an article I wrote, and she said how much she related to it, and just how before she read that, she never realized some things, and it just made her, and I was like, wow, I said, that's why I write the things that I do, and that's why we talk about the things that we do. Thanks for the share, Martin.
Thank you.
Holla at your girl and boy. And I wrote her back, and I was like, because I spent so many years carrying a burden of a lot of things alone, because I didn't know how to communicate about them. And look, with all of the millions of people in this world, nobody should ever feel alone about an issue, because somewhere, someone has felt the way you have felt. They have walked what you've been walking through. Maybe not exactly, but the way that you feel, we can relate on, and we're all in this together. So, you should never have to feel alone. You should never have to feel like you have to hide, a bad day or negativity. Not that it's like, okay, go out and, spread hate and chaos and suck in the world, but like, you can spread your experience in a positive way.
Guys, we're all just walking each other home at the end of the day. We're all in this together, like Linds said, and we're all just walking each other home. One of the things I like...
cousin, welcome to Ohio.
One of the things I really like to do when I'm interacting with somebody is I like to ask, who are you and what is your purpose? Who am I and what is my purpose? And then it creates this connection between you. I can't really describe what it does on an energetic level other than to say that the connection between the two of you just deepens exponentially when you enter into that question. And you just let the question sit and actively listen and engage. It's a really
It's amazing
tool.
what you start to hear from people when... Bye, Andrea. Good to see you. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for joining. It's amazing what you hear from people when you're actively listening. And it's amazing what you hear from yourself when you're actively listening, too. But it really takes practice. Like, you really have to sit there and not think about yourself when someone's talking. And come on, guys, we know that in this society today, we're all programmed to think about ourselves all the time. We have this false identity that we're all separate, and it's not true.
There's no separation.
It's just a false narrative that's implanted in us. And again, that's a whole other video to talk about. But
there's lots of topics.
If you just realize that people are your ally and you approach them with love, rather than defensiveness, it can, and the same goes for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you can start embracing that negativity and that negative self-talk and say, okay, why do I think this way about myself? Why am I telling myself this? Who says I'm not good enough? Where did that even come from? Or who says I'm, when you start really questioning your beliefs, you can really start to shift them around, and those really powerful negative voices get a lot less quieter. But the key is to ease into that is listening. Mm-hmm. Listening to yourself, listening to the people around you, because when someone is talking to us and we feel a response coming up in ourselves, it's not about them. Mm-hmm. It's, something for us to look at. And when you can really get quiet and learn to listen to that, it's really empowering. Mm-hmm. And a big, big part of that is just learning to take that breath and just breathe and what am I doing right now? Quieting the mind. Because everything that your mind is thinking about, you can't do anything about right now. So you might as well just focus on what's happening in front of you, focus on the person in front of you, focus on the time with yourself, turning within, and just listening, getting quiet enough to listen.
This is also a subject for a whole new video, but I just want to touch on it briefly, and that's the ability of, and we've spoken about it a little bit in this video, the ability to listen to ourselves, to become silent within and to listen to ourselves. We are generally really good.
Hi, Maya. My soul sister.
We are generally really good at being open and giving to other people, but we see other people and ourselves as separate. There's us and then there's them. There's us and then there's the rest of the world. And we're really good at being giving and gentle to others. And
not with ourselves.
Not with ourselves, because we feel we don't deserve it. And the really powerful thing that we can come to understanding is that we need to give to ourselves as well. Mm-hmm. And we do that by becoming quiet and listening to ourselves with an open mind and an open heart.
Mm-hmm. Treat yourself the way you would an adorable little puppy.
Exactly. Something that I said to a client recently was, someone that was considering self-harm, would you go into a park and hurt a little child playing on a swing? And the answer was no, I would never hurt another soul. I'm like, well, why would you hurt your soul then? Because you are an innocent little child somewhere inside yourself. You need to connect with that and recognize that because you wouldn't hurt a soul, you're a soul. You're not going to hurt yourself either, but you need to become quiet and you need to actively listen without those filters to discover that.
Because guess what? Everything you see in somebody else is present in you as well. Not just the negative things. It's not just about being a mirror for the traits we don't like so much. It's about being a mirror for the traits that you love in somebody else too. If you look at someone else and you're like, wow, this person is so great to be around and they're nurturing or they're loving or they're kind or whatever it is that you find about them that you like or that draws you to them, guess what? That's in you too. Mm-hmm. You just have to pull all the crap out to let that and not be afraid to let it out. That's what it's about.
Let it flow.
Let it flow. And if you're stuck, breath work.
Let it flow. Let it go.
Yeah. So, thank you guys all for joining us. It's such a pleasure connecting with you guys and chatting. And If you guys liked the video, if you found it valuable, please share.
Come on, give us a few hearts before we sign off. Let's see, a few hearts. These ones. Across the screen.
Thumbs up. Yes, Maya, Tonglen, which is like a Buddhist practice where you actually, instead of
there we go.
instead of focusing on all the good things, you take in the pain, you take in the suffering of others, and you send back to them, loving kindness and compassion and all of the good stuff. And it's such a wonderful healing practice for the world. Something we all need.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the planet right now holding space for love. We will prevail.
Tonglen actually goes against what our ego wants.
Right,
Our ego
right.
tells us we need to get negativity out of ourselves, and in breathing negativity out and light in, we're looking after ourselves and giving negativity
Thanks
to the
for the
world.
shares, guys.
But if we do the reverse and we breathe that negativity into ourselves,
Which is called Tonglen.
We are love. We are light. We are a powerful unit of the universe. So when we breathe that in, it dissolves into love within us.
This heart center can transmute anything.
And then we give it back as love.
Yes, and right, you can take in the goodness of others and let out the negativity. That's right. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful healing practice for everyone.
Definitely.
So we've taken up enough of your time, and we're going to go enjoy our Sunday evening. We love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Oh.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys soon. Much love, much appreciation. Thanks for the shares and the love, guys. Bye. Remember to breathe. Bye, everyone.